TSMC's defiance against the United States is currently making waves in the tech world. Now, do you know that the size of a nanochip can be as tiny as 7 nanometers? Incredible, right? But that's just the beginning. Join us as we look into the intriguing story of how TSMC is defying the odds and taking a bold step towards China's demand for 7-nanometer chips, despite the challenges it poses to the United States. We'll also unravel the complex landscape of semiconductor technology and international dynamics. With that said, let's get started. TSMC, the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company, desired to relocate its operations due to the United States' apparent position as a protector of Taiwan. This shift in stance was influenced by Taiwan's leadership, perceiving a need for separation from China, while global consensus, including the U.S., largely acknowledges the One China policy that designates Taiwan as part of China. In exchange for this political backing, the U.S. aimed to leverage Taiwan's prominent role in the semiconductor industry. TSMC, a major multinational semiconductor manufacturer, holds expertise in chip production that aligns with U.S. interests. However, accessing this required an agreement to support Taiwan against China. This strategic maneuver aimed to gain advantageous access to TSMC's advanced manufacturing capabilities and its skilled workforce. President Biden's bold decision displayed an ambitious strategy. Interestingly, the U.S. stands as TSMC's primary market, commanding significant attention and resources from the company. This dynamic essentially caused TSMC to align with the U.S. Meanwhile, the U.S. sought to exert pressure on TSMC to acquire its chip manufacturing secrets. TSMC plays a crucial role by providing chips to tech giants like Apple, Qualcomm, NVIDIA, and AMD. Recognizing TSMC's strategic importance, the U.S. considered making the company heavily reliant on its markets or resorting to acquiring its intellectual property. However, an unexpected development emerged. Despite initially agreeing to terms for substantial subsidies, TSMC's confidence in the promised financial support waned as expected benefits failed to materialize. TSMC firmly rejected the strict demands imposed by the U.S. government. These demands included withdrawing from the Chinese market for a decade, divulging core information, and an unusual insistence on sharing excessive profits. Such demands pose significant challenges for any corporation, including TSMC. As a result, TSMC's possibility to align with the U.S. began to waver. Straining its relationship with the U.S.'s ambition to steer TSMC away from the Chinese market for an extended period faced setbacks, raising questions about the practicality of the proposed terms. Amidst these developments, Morris Chang, TSMC's chairman, faced a delicate situation. Despite his initial support for TSMC's move toward the U.S., he had to reconsider due to perceived ulterior motives. He opted to agree with the U.S. semiconductor policy towards China, aligning himself with the trajectory favored by the U.S. Beneath the surface, Chang's statements held elements of contradiction. He expressed reservations about the U.S. capabilities in chip manufacturing, highlighting its shortcomings in possessing a complete industry chain and a unique talent advantage. Additionally, he presented an alternative viewpoint on the U.S.-China chip war, suggesting that the U.S. actions could lead to the erosion of free trade. It's evident that he harbored a degree of dissatisfaction with these developments. A recent revelation from TSMC has shown something important. It's related to a question about the United States trying to use and control TSMC's involvement in China. Reports from Taiwan's Digitimes say something interesting happened in the first 3 months of this year. Big Chinese AI chip companies, like Alibaba's T-Head and ZTE Microelectronics, ordered a lot more of TSMC's special 7-nanometer chips. This sudden increase in orders is a clever move. Instead of punishing TSMC, China is being friendly by giving them new orders. This move shows that China wants to support TSMC and make sure it doesn't feel alone or get used by the United States. China hopes that if TSMC accepts these orders, it means they want to work with China again. It turns out TSMC does want orders from China. This means TSMC doesn't want to follow the U.S. rule to stay away from China for 10 years. It's a clear message that TSMC knows what's right, especially in international business matters. Now, a lot of Chinese companies are making computers. However, they need some chips to start. So they're ordering these special AI chips from TSMC, TSMC is good at making these chips that are 7 nanometers small. This is a big advantage and helps many Chinese companies. After all, this good fit between TSMC and Chinese companies can be a win-win situation. But will the US let this happen? In reality, the options available to the US are limited. It finds itself compelled to acknowledge this development and abstain from obstructing TSMC's collaboration with China. Nevertheless, if the US adopts a more stringent approach, withholding high-quality GPUs from Chinese companies, the dynamics could shift. This potential scenario could prompt Chinese enterprises to intensify their efforts in developing their proprietary AI chips. The outcome might be the advancement of technology in China's AI chip sector, focusing particularly on high-quality solutions. Such a progression could transform China into a formidable player in this domain, thus shaping the global technological landscape. If this happens, China could potentially manufacture AI chips with a size as small as 7 nanometers or even 5 nanometers. This advancement would significantly reduce China's reliance on purchasing chips from American companies. This is a significant development, particularly considering the substantial influence that private chip companies wield in the realm of American politics. By establishing greater self-sufficiency in chip production, China could potentially assert more control over its technological capabilities and strategic positioning in the global landscape. At present, numerous Chinese companies are actively advancing their chip development endeavors. However, they need earlier chips to commence their operations. Consequently, the demand for generative AI chips has surged, presenting a profitable opportunity for TSMC. By achieving self-sufficiency in these advanced chip designs, China would significantly reduce its reliance on purchasing chips from American manufacturers. This shift in dynamics could reshape the geopolitical landscape of technology dominance and influence, particularly considering the considerable power that private chip companies hold within the realm of American politics. So what step is the US taking? Well, the United States has initiated measures to reduce its dependency on Taiwan. In July, Congress approved the CHIPS Act, which includes approximately $53 billion in subsidies and tax benefits aimed at strengthening domestic chip manufacturing. Several companies are already taking action by establishing facilities in the U.S. Intel is in the process of constructing 2 factories worth $20 billion each in Ohio. Micron has committed up to $100 billion for a large chip factory in upstate New York. Samsung is developing a $17 billion factory in Texas, and TSMC is working on a $12 billion plant in Arizona. TSMC is also working on a new facility in Japan, intended to produce less advanced chips used in the automotive sector. According to the Wall Street Journal, Japanese officials have expressed interest in TSMC expanding its presence by accommodating advanced chip production, showcasing concerns about geopolitical risks related to Taiwan. However, Glenn O'Donnell, the vice president and research director at Forrester, cautioned against prematurely celebrating the end of the chip shortage or the reduction of U.S. dependence on Taiwanese chips. The factories themselves require equipment that is currently scarce due to the chip shortage. Additionally, these facilities take several years to be established and operational. O'Donnell commented, "From the moment construction begins, it will take at least 3 years before chips are produced." Furthermore, challenges persist in significantly decreasing the nation's reliance on TSMC. While subsidies and tax incentives will be beneficial, Taiwan may remain the more cost-effective choice for businesses. Moreover, TSMC's chips are anticipated to maintain higher quality for the foreseeable future. Intel's chips produced in the U.S., for instance, are not expected to match the sophistication of those made in Taiwan, given TSMC's cutting-edge technology. Even though manufacturing relatively lower-quality chips could help diminish reliance on Taiwan, the U.S. confronts a shortage of skilled workforce needed to scale up production. This workforce deficiency is a global issue within the industry. Rasser emphasized that comprehensive training and education are essential to bridge this gap. Considering these factors, achieving self-sufficiency in chip production for the U.S. could take years and possibly decades as the nation addresses these challenges. For this time, the U.S. might need to hope that a big problem that messes up the economy doesn't happen. Alright guys, that wraps up our video for today. Thank you for joining us. So do you think the U.S. has lost its edge in the chip war? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.